The series begins with a birthday party for a girl named Eliza, who we learn is the darling of the household, especially after her mother passed away. Being the only daughter, we see her getting into her car to prepare herself for the party. On the way, Eliza receives a call from Tosha, her friend, who tells her she has prepared a surprise for her birthday, and also she will start a live broadcast so they can celebrate her in front of everyone. As soon as the broadcast starts, Eliza begins to sing along with them, and unfortunately, she doesn't notice the traffic light is red and crashes into the car coming her way. At that moment, a young man named Serkan, along with his friend Baha, steps out of the car. We learn that he works as a car mechanic, and unfortunately, the car was one he was testing to deliver to its owner. However, when Eliza steps out of her car, it's apparent she doesn't care about what happened and tries to leave, but ends up in a fight with Serkan, even showing their problem on the live stream, impressing her friends with his looks and deciding to have their cars fixed by him. Eventually, they conclude that Eliza should pay Serkan for the damages, but she escapes and they can't catch her. So Serkan calls a relative in the traffic department and finds out Eliza's location from her car's number. At home, we see Asma, Eliza's aunt, who was arranging the birthday party, but she doesn't like the cake because it was pre-ordered. Then Nuruddin, Eliza's father, enters and calms her down, saying he asked Gul to make it because both he and Eliza love it. Then it turns out Eliza is late and Nuruddin is worried about her. Asma suggests she might have gone to visit her mother's grave to celebrate her birthday with her. Nuruddin is upset about her delay and goes to his room to talk to Sinem, who is his daughter's friend and also the girl he loves. He tells her about Eliza's delay. She responds that as long as she's comfortable because she's visiting her mom, let her be. But he expresses his wish not to have her upset on such a day and ends the call.
We go to Eliza, who is sitting at her mother's grave, telling her about her father doing everything to please her and how he hates upsetting her, but sometimes she feels lonely without her. Then she receives a call from her father, bids her mother farewell and leaves. At the party, all her friends and relatives are anxiously waiting for her until Eliza arrives. Looking very elegant, she takes a selfie and posts it on social media, and everyone knows she has arrived. Then Eliza goes to her room and sends a message to Sinem to come up, who, upon seeing her, notices she's stressed and suffocated, but Eliza tells her it's nothing important and she's happy to have her by her side. When Eliza comes down, all her friends are amazed by her beauty and keep taking photos with her. Even Nuruddin can't believe how quickly his daughter has grown up. We move to Serkan, who is trying to fix the car but fails and learns that the repair will cost him 300,000 lira. Even the owner calls him, saying he will pick it up tomorrow. Serkan panics, takes Baha, and heads to Eliza's house. As soon as Serkan arrives there, he pretends to be a sales representative, coming to deliver Eliza's gift. As soon as he enters, he grabs Eliza and also demands his money from her. But Eliza tries to defuse the situation and asks him to leave, promising to give him the money. But Al intervenes in the conversation, which makes Serkan angry at him, and he even hits him. Then all her friends start a live broadcast, spreading everything that's happening, and the party gets ruined until Nuruddin comes down and expels everyone after learning that Eliza hit Serkan with her car and also fled. At night, Nuruddin tries to make amends with Eliza, who has locked herself in her room, upset about what happened. Nuruddin enters and talks to her, also reprimanding her for what she did to Serkan and reminding her that he is just a mechanic who can't afford the car repairs needed. As punishment, Nuruddin takes the car keys from Eliza. She tells him to stop treating her like a little child, reminding him that she has grown up. Nuruddin tells her that he always considers her a friend and tries not to make her feel her mother's absence. However, she hurts him with her words, saying she always felt her absence. Nuruddin gets upset and Sinem follows him to console him. He tells her that his wife died giving birth to her and that he had vowed to himself to make her happy throughout her life. Sinem tells him he is an excellent father and that he has done everything he could for Eliza. Nuruddin seizes the opportunity and proposes to Sinem, who is very happy with the offer. The next day, Eliza calls Sinem, telling her that she upset her father very much and wants to make amends. Sinem tells her that he forgives quickly and it's easy to appease him, so Eliza gets up to reconcile with him. On the other hand, at Serkan's house, we see his older sister, Serap, preparing breakfast for their father, Kadir, and their grandfather, Fakhri, who has Alzheimer's and constantly forgets, and their grandmother, who just came back from the market. She bids farewell to Serkan as he goes to work, reminding him of the installments they have to pay on time. We go to Nuruddin, who is having breakfast with Asma, telling her he wants to marry Sinem. However, Asma is not pleased because he had rejected her proposal in the past. He even surprises her with the ring he bought, and she thought the ring in the drawer was for Eliza. Therefore, Asma decides to spoil his happiness and prevent his marriage. At that time, Eliza is seen holding flowers, going
going to reconcile with her father, so Asma tells her there is a ribbon in the drawer of her room for her to take. But Eliza finds a ring and thinks it's for her, only to be shocked when she sees Sinem's name on the ring. Eliza goes down angrily and yells at her father for betraying her with her friend. She even takes the ring and goes to Sinem's house, continuing to yell at her for her deceit and betrayal. Nuruddin asks Sinem to return to her apartment and talks to Eliza, telling her he loves Sinem and wants to marry her. Eliza is upset because he allowed himself love and marriage while denying it to her aunt, Asma. Nuruddin tells her that everyone has the right to choose and live their life, and he also agrees with anyone she wants to marry. At that moment, Eliza laughs wickedly, gives him the ring, and walks away. At that moment, Eliza goes to Serkan's workshop and asks to talk to him. She proposes that he marry her anyway for 3 days to prevent her father's marriage, but Serkan refuses. Unfortunately, Ahmed, the workshop owner, arrives and asks why Eliza is with them. Out of her cunning, Eliza stands next to the car she hit, and Ahmed is shocked when he sees the car, scolding Serkan, saying neither he nor his family can afford it. Serkan gets angry and hits Ahmed. Eliza calls the police and reports him and Baha. There, she gives him the choice to either get him out of jail or accept her offer, but Serkan refuses again, so she leaves, and Serkan and Baha are released from jail. On the next day, Eliza meets with Serkan, who tells her he agrees to her offer, but on his conditions. They must marry officially, and she has to stay with him at his family's house. They agree on a 6-month duration, and Eliza reluctantly agrees, thinking her father will arrive before the marriage ceremony and stop the wedding. Afterwards, Serkan goes with Eliza to the marriage office to find out the procedures, and her wedding is scheduled for the next day at 1 o'clock. Then, Serkan receives a call from Serap, telling her he has a surprise for them when he returns. Serap goes to the hairdresser, Bahar, and complains about being tired of cleaning and taking care of her grandfather and father. Her neighbor suggests that Serkan should marry Bahar, and Serap considers her suitable and even invites her to dinner with them. When Serap returns home, she prepares dinner happily, but her joy is cut short when Serkan announces his intention to marry, shocking her to the point of fainting twice. He surprises them by saying their wedding is the next day. However, when Serap recovers, she tells him she had chosen Bahar for him, praising her intelligence, her ownership of a shop, and her certifications in pedicure and manicure, but Serkan is firm in his decision. The next day, Eliza appears in a white dress, talking to herself about returning home with her father in a few hours. She takes a taxi to the wedding hall, where she records a video inviting her father, Asma, and Sinem to her wedding at 1 o'clock. Asma is shocked by what she sees and enters Nuruddin's room, finding him calm and collected. She asks if he saw the video, and he tells her to leave him alone, saying he will dress to attend his daughter's wedding since she chose this path. At the wedding hall, Serkan's family is present, and the officiant arrives to start the marriage ceremony. However, Eliza tries to delay the marriage until her father arrives. At that moment, Nuruddin and Sinem arrive, and noticing he is holding Sinem's hand, Eliza reluctantly agrees to the marriage to spite him, asking Serkan to refuse. But he also agrees to the marriage, making her his wife. Eliza, upset, talks to Serkan privately about his agreement to the marriage. He tells her it was part of their agreement and that she should be happy in front of his family. Eliza faces reality, meets her new family, and even greets them. Nuruddin blesses her and presents her with a wedding gift. Eliza is puzzled by her father's treatment, thinking he believes she married for love and not out of necessity. She confirms his belief and leaves with Serkan in the car. Upon arriving at the house, the grandfather, Fakhri, blesses their marriage, while Serap takes on the challenging role of the mother-in-law, demanding Eliza make her coffee. After several attempts, Eliza succeeds. However, she is shocked by Serap's demands and agrees to comply until the period ends and her father separates from Sinem. When Eliza goes to her room, she cries due to her deep sadness and the drastic change from her previous life to her current situation. On the next morning, Eliza wakes up to Serap starting her mother-in-law duties by asking her to prepare breakfast. Eliza enters the kitchen, not knowing how to make anything except pancakes, which surprises the grandparents. Serap then enters the kitchen, ordering Eliza to clean the bathroom and leave the breakfast preparation to her. Eliza begins cleaning with dignity, thinking she must endure for her plan to succeed. Unfortunately for Eliza, the sink's pipe breaks and she leaves it unattended. Serap follows her and asks her to fix it. Gul, who lives in the same neighborhood, sees them and goes back to the villa to tell Asma everything she saw, shocking her. Asma goes to Sinem, reproaching her for being the reason behind Eliza's situation. After leaving, Sinem sends Nuruddin a message ending their relationship. Eliza re-enters the bathroom, unable to fix the pipe, and Serkan helps her, which makes her admire him, but her pride prevents her from getting closer. Eliza goes back to her room, finding her clothes ruined and her hands no longer beautiful, yet she endures for her plan. Serap knocks on her door, telling her not to lock lock herself in and that Sinem wants to meet her, offering her a dress to wear. When Eliza goes downstairs, Sinem is surprised by her appearance. She takes her to her room, telling her she ended her relationship with Nuruddin and showing her the message. Eliza is very happy, wears the dress, and excuses herself, saying Serkan allowed her to go out. She greets the grandparents, Kadir, kisses their hands, and leaves. Serkan is at a jewelry store buying rings for both of them, but receives a call from his father, informing him that Eliza left the house. He drives to her house and catches her before she enters. Meanwhile, Nuruddin talks to Sinem, explaining he knows Serkan and his family. He recounts an incident from 13 years ago, a fire in their house where no one could save Asma except Kadir, who was a firefighter. Nuruddin had befriended Kadir, who helped him because his leg was burned but lost contact until he learned Serkan was his son. Sinem leaves, not believing Nuruddin, who follows her, claiming he is the reason for their marriage, intending to teach her life lessons and humility. Eliza enters during their conversation, shocked to see Sinem and realizing she lied. Conflicted about returning to her father or staying with Serkan and wearing their wedding ring, she chooses the wedding ring, surprising Serkan by taking it unnoticed. She goes to her father, saying she is happy in her marriage, but is upset by Sinem's presence. At that moment, Asma sees them, unhappy with the marriage and wanting to divorce Eliza by any means, and also to remove Sinem from her brother's path. So, she devises a plan to pretend to be electrocuted and starts screaming until they come to her aid. Afterward, Asma asks Eliza to stay with her, but Eliza refuses and goes up to her room, coming down with a toy bride doll in her hand, which surprises Serkan. Nuruddin explains that he bought the doll with her mother before she was born. Asma then invites Serkan and his family to have dinner with them, making Eliza very happy. Serkan takes Eliza to the market to buy her clothes, but Eliza is not pleased with anything and objects to everything he buys. We see Serap happy, preparing dinner and singing because Eliza left, but Kadir tells her Eliza will return because this is her home and she can't leave it. When Serkan and Eliza arrive, he presents everyone with a gift, but Serap is envious of Eliza and dislikes everything. Serap talks to Eliza, asking if she married Serkan against her will and that she won't rest until they are separated. Then, Serap deliberately drops a plate and blames Eliza for breaking it. The grandmother enters and hears from Serap about what Eliza did, but she's happy to get rid of the plate, saying her mother bought it against her will. Eliza laughs, feeling victorious over Serap. However, Serap is determined to annoy her and asks Eliza to clean the bathroom for her hair wash. Eliza decides to take revenge, and after finishing, she goes to her room. Suddenly, they hear Serap screaming and discover that Eliza put glue in the shampoo, making Serap's hair stick together. Eliza denies doing it with an innocent face, but Serap is convinced she is responsible. Serkan asks Eliza to go to her room, follows her, shows her the glue bottle she used, and asks her to apologize to his sister. Eliza refuses and threatens to reveal that he was fired from his job, forcing Serkan to remain silent and leave. The next day, everyone in the house wakes up to a loud alarm, thinking a war has started and they should hide, but they later discover it was Eliza's alarm. Serkan says he'll wake her up. Reaching Eliza's room, he pushes the door open, but unfortunately, his prize falls and breaks. Eliza wakes up, turns off the alarm, and says she'll prepare breakfast because she has to go to the hotel to pass an exam to finish her college. However, she receives a message from Al saying he's waiting for her at the hotel, making Serkan jealous, and he leaves the room. Eliza gets ready and tells Serkan she's going to the hotel, but he asks her to apologize, or she'll stay home cleaning and washing rugs. Eliza apologizes, and Serkan offers to drive her, but Eliza refuses, saying it's better if no one knows they are married. She leaves to catch up. We move to Nuruddin, who is seen with Medhat, the owner of the hotel where Sinem works. Upon her entry, he informs her that Nuruddin has become his partner in the hotel, revealing that he did all this to stay close to her. Eliza gets off the minibus and unluckily runs into her friend Hazel, who is always obsessed with her phone, using it day and night. Eliza has to make up an excuse to get out of the situation, but the biggest surprise comes when Eliza enters the hotel and all her friends mock her clothes. She tells them she met a new designer who designs for her to cover her embarrassment. Then she enters her father's office, telling him she is happy with her life but gets upset when she finds out his relationship with Sinem is ongoing. She leaves him and walks away. While Eliza is standing with her friends, telling them she knows nothing about Serkan, he suddenly appears in front of her, revealing he was hired in the hotel's kitchen after being fired from his job. The situation worsens when Baha arrives, also wanting a job, forcing Serkan to hire him to avoid exposing their relationship and warning him not to tell anyone that he and Eliza are married. Eliza is unhappy with this, so she storms into Sinem's office, yelling at her for hiring Serkan behind her back. However, Nuruddin appears and tells her he was the one who hired Serkan after he was fired from his job. He agreed to let Serkan wash dishes and advises her to take care of her husband. Eliza then tells Serkan to quit the job or she will expose him to her friends with his actions. But Serkan tells her he needs to work to support his family. They agree that she will stay away from Alp, and after her work, she must return home without going out late with her friends. If she agrees, he won't tell anyone about their marriage. Eliza agrees to end his nagging. Baha starts his job and first breaks a very expensive set of dishes after deciding to walk through the garden instead of using the elevator. Alp sees this and scolds them, considering himself the son of the hotel's owner. Serkan gets angry and grabs Alp, ready to hit him, until Nuruddin intervenes and takes Serkan to his office, scolding him for needing to control his temper and not fight with Alp, his business partner's son. Serkan is convinced and goes back to work. Eliza is sitting with Alp and her friends, who decide to throw a party and go out together. She goes to the kitchen to ask Serkan's permission, according to their agreement. However, Serkan refuses and suggests she should go out with him instead. She refuses and tells her friends she won't attend the party because she has important work to finish. Serkan leaves the kitchen, informing her he is leaving, and sends her a message that she should follow him or she won't find a ride home. Eliza reluctantly excuses herself from her friends and follows him. As soon as Eliza gets into the car, she is surprised to see Alp and Tosha following them. She hides before they see her. At Bahar's salon, Serap enters with her hair ruined by the glue Eliza put in her shampoo, very upset with Eliza. The situation worsens when Nevin, Ahmed's wife, tells her that her husband just got out of the hospital because of Serkan and that he was fired, indicating he won't find anyone to hire him after this. Shortly after, Serap appears with Bahar, holding flowers to apologize to Ahmed for what her brother did. However, when she sees Ahmed with his big head and injury, she can't help but laugh at him. Nevin stands up and scolds her, but Serap calms down and sincerely apologizes to Ahmed, asking for his forgiveness. She is shocked to learn that Serkan knows a girl, who also reported him to the police and got him detained. Serap struggles to control her emotions, fluctuating between laughter, tears, and nearly fainting. Once Serap calms down, she returns home and shares everything with her grandparents. Suddenly, the door knocks, and they find Asma at their doorstep. Asma sits down and invites them to dinner to get to know each other better, especially since there wasn't much opportunity before due to the quick nature of the marriage. She then excuses herself and leaves. Upon returning home, Serkan and Eliza discover that Serap knows everything about Serkan's altercation with Ahmed, his job loss, detention, and all because of the girl he knows. Serap curses the girl and asks Elisa to join her in cursing, while Serkan can't help but laugh at the situation. Kadir suggests that Serap and Eliza go shopping for a gift before heeding to the dinner invitation, so they don't arrive empty-handed. In the street, Eliza and Serap are surprised to see Ahmed. Eliza grabs Serap's hand, suggesting they take another street. Unfortunately, they pass by Bahar's shop, who is displeased to see Eliza. Serap shares that Bahar was her brother's friend since childhood, and there was a potential marriage plan that didn't materialize. Eliza, feeling rushed, hurries Serap, and they leave. Unfortunately, Tosha and Alp manage to follow them to Serkan's neighborhood. At the same time, Serkan is at the shop waiting for Serap, who forgot her wallet and has no money. Ahmed confronts Serkan, and Serap defends her brother. Just then, Ahmed recognizes Eliza as the girl who reported Serkan to the police. Serap is shocked and reveals that Eliza is his wife, but the surprise grows when Eliza finds Tosha and Alp have overheard everything. Serkan diffuses the situation by claiming Eliza came to apologize for his job loss. He asks Alp and Tosha to take her away, pulls Eliza aside, instructing her to leave them and return home. He then leaves with Serap. Sinem offers Nuruddin her resignation, stating she can't deceive Eliza after learning the truth. Nuruddin urges her not to rush her decision and to wait until the dinner to see for herself. Sinem refuses and leaves, while Nuruddin notices Asma overhearing their conversation. Back home, Serkan returns with his sister, who exposes him in front of everyone, revealing that Eliza was the girl who reported him to the police and declaring she has no place in their home anymore. However, Kadir disagrees, stating that Serkan loves her and they will go to have dinner with her family and then take her back home. Shortly afterwards, Serkan tries to call Eliza, but she refuses to answer. Alp tells her they are taking her to the party, but she insists on going back home. A call from Asma saves her, summoning her to the dinner, and they drop her off at home. Unfortunately, Serkan is there with his family, and Alp and Tosha think they have come to demand their money. Eliza asks them to leave, saying she will handle the situation situation, and she meets them outside. Nureddin comes out and greets them warmly. During the dinner, the grandfather is shocked by the menu, which includes crab and shrimp, foods he does not eat. Everyone else is also displeased with the meal. The situation escalates when Gul serves them, and upon seeing her, the grandmother greets her warmly. However, she inadvertently criticizes her bossy and irritable manager, which turns out to be Asma. Serap can't contain her laughter, and everyone joins in, though Eliza and Serkan are confused. Eliza takes Serkan to the kitchen to help her make tomato eggs, sensing the guests' dislike for the food. When Eliza and Serkan serve the eggs, Serap disapproves, and her grandfather insists they won't leave without Eliza. They all agree on this, though Serap is unhappy and walks away. Kadir follows her, reminding her that Eliza left her home for them and defied her family, so they cannot abandon her now. He brings Serap back, insisting Eliza come with them to their home. The next day, Serap and Eliza's usual quarrel resumes, but Serkan intervenes and resolves the issue. However, Serap insists on going to the hotel to see her brother's job. At the hotel, Tosha shares the events with her friends. Meanwhile, Serkan drives Eliza to the hotel, but she asks to be dropped off before reaching the hotel to avoid being seen. Serkan refuses, insisting she obey him. Eliza tries to exit the moving car and her shoe falls off. Serkan stops to find it and in a romantic gesture puts the shoe on her foot, leaving Eliza impressed. Upon reaching the hotel, Eliza asks her friends to focus on their work because the college dean, Nergis, will be evaluating their performance. Hearing that Sinem has resigned, Eliza is overjoyed, feeling it may disrupt her father's relationship with Sinem. However, there's a problem. The hotel lacks a manager to sign the papers. At this moment, Cengiz, who parks cars at the hotel and dreams of washing dishes and working in the kitchen, appears. Unfortunately, Nergis arrives with her son, and Eliza asks Alp to greet them. Nergis mistakes him for a worker. When Nergis enters the hotel and meets everyone, the absence of a manager is noted. Eliza speaks with Serkan about the lack of a manager. He mentions that Serap is coming, and it would be impossible for her to see him washing dishes. They both agree on a plan. Serap arrives at the hotel with Bahar to see her brother's job. Eliza then goes out to Nergis, announcing that the manager has arrived. Serkan appears, dressed in a suit, and is introduced to Nergis as the manager. Everyone is surprised by her claim, but they can't speak until the day is over. Serap is delighted to see her brother in a managerial role, boasting about him to Bahar, which causes jealousy in Eliza. Serkan performs his role perfectly, impressing everyone with his charisma and performance. When Eliza returns home, she reminisces about everything that happened and admires Serkan even more. She goes to him to thank him for his actions, praising his performance and telling him how happy Serap is about his job, to the extent that she has told the entire family and is preparing their favorite food. Nureddin, holding flowers, tries to present them to Sinem, but she doesn't answer his calls. He decides to enter through the back door, but her neighbor mistakes him for a thief and throws water at him. Nureddin grabs the flowers and runs. The next day, Serkan arrives at the hotel and asks Cengiz to change clothes, now that he's working his dream job of washing dishes. In the midst of this, Nergis wants to leave but insists on seeing the manager before doing so. Eliza pulls Serkan back to his job, fearing for her studies. Serkan agrees and comes out with her. Nergis asks Serkan to explain everyone's role. When it comes to Alp, Nergis says he's unfit and needs to be replaced. Alp speaks up, claiming he is the hotel manager and Serkan is just a dishwasher. At this moment, Nureddin arrives, shocked by what he hears. Nergis wants to know who the manager is until Sinem arrives and declares herself the manager, taking her to her office. Serkan is called by Bahar, who informs him that Nureddin wants to see him. Serkan honestly explains his actions were for his sister. Eliza enters, takes the blame, and walks away, making Nureddin happy that his daughter finally admitted her mistake and took responsibility. Serkan is puzzled by her actions, but his admiration for her grows. Unfortunately, Bahar takes her by the arm before anyone can fire her and leaves. He goes to Ahmed to ask for his job back. Serap confronts him, revealing she discovered that Serkan works in the kitchen, not as the hotel manager as she thought. Then Serap gathers her courage and goes to meet Asma. They conspire together to sabotage the marriage. Shortly after, Serap returns home with Asma, and Kadir is surprised to see them together, suspecting his daughter is up to something. Kadir follows Serap and Asma, observing as they head to Bahar's shop to introduce her. Meanwhile, the grandfather calls Nureddin, requesting his presence. When Nureddin arrives, he is surprised to find his sister Asma there. At the hotel, Eliza is stuck in a malfunctioning elevator with Demir, Nergis's son. In a panic, she calls Serkan, who is busy washing dishes in the kitchen, asking for his help. Nergis worries about her son, and Serkan is equally concerned for Eliza, determined to rescue her. He asks Eliza to calm Demir, who is claustrophobic. Serkan then heads to the electrical room and manages to save them with Alp's help by cutting the elevator's power. When Serkan opens the elevator, Eliza rushes out and embraces him, surprising everyone around. The situation worsens when Bahar learns about it and publicly addresses Eliza as Serkan's wife, shocking the onlookers. Alp asks Eliza for an explanation, but she's speechless. Serkan intervenes, declaring his love for her since the first day they met, leaving their friends questioning Eliza for confirmation. Overwhelmed, Eliza walks away. Alp is upset by the unfolding events and starts questioning Serkan's sudden declaration of love for Eliza, causing Tosha to doubt the sincerity of his confession. Alp decides to take revenge on Serkan and put him in his place. Serkan searches for Eliza, who disappears after the incident. When he finds her, Eliza is upset with him for embarrassing her. Serkan argues that he saved her life twice and almost revealed their marriage. Eliza accuses him of falling in love with her, which Serkan playfully agrees with, only to later claim she is delusional and walks away, leaving Eliza astonished by his gesture. Back to Nuruddin, who is surprised by Asma's presence. Serap tells him that Asma has come to stay with them, praising her humility. Nuruddin remains unconvinced, and Kadir takes him outside to talk. Kadir shares his suspicion with Nuruddin that their daughters are plotting something related to the marriage. This leads to a disagreement between Nuruddin and Kadir, escalating to a point where they decide not to speak to each other again. Kadir warns Serap against interacting with Asma, anticipating a continued feud until Nuruddin apologizes. Nuruddin, upon returning home, tells Asma not to visit there again, deciding to cut off communication, and insists his daughter will stay as she is in their home. In the kitchen, we see Serkan and Bahar washing dishes when Serkan receives a call from his grandmother informing him about the quarrel between his father-in-law and his own father. This is because they found out he's not actually working as a manager, but just a kitchen worker, and it was Serap who let the cat out of the bag after Bahar inadvertently revealed everything to her. Upon hearing this, Bahar tries to sneak away, but Serkan catches him and realizes Bahar was the one who spilled the beans to Serap, who then told everyone else. Minutes later, Serkan talks to Eliza and tells her that Serap found out he's not the hotel manager. Eliza becomes very worried and anxious about Serap's reaction. She asks Serkan not to go home just yet and to wait until the end of the day when Serap might have calmed down or gone to sleep. Serkan reluctantly agrees after some persuasion. In a moment of peace, Serkan sits with Eliza by the sea, sharing stories about his mother, his longing for her, and his eyes welling up with tears. Eliza, in turn, talks about her mother, whom she never saw or lived with, and how she inherited her beauty and looks from her, but her temper and craziness from her father. They laugh together, and then Serkan holds her hand and they walk away. Sinem sees them together and is puzzled, but heads back to her office, where she finds Medhat waiting. He tells her he wants Nuruddin out of the hotel, but Sinem says she's late and needs to leave. That night, Eliza returns with Serkan, and to their bad luck, Serap is waiting for them. Eliza is terrified of her, so Serkan decides to provoke his sister further. He gets out of the car and asks Eliza to hold his hand so that Serap can see them together, which infuriates Serap even more. Then, Serkan sneaks Eliza into her room, telling her Serap went to sleep after seeing them. He bids Eliza goodnight, leaving with a smile, happy about their time together. The next morning, Eliza wakes up from a beautiful dream about chasing someone she loves on the beach, both dressed in white, only to realize the person in her dream was Serkan. She wakes up trying to push away the thought of loving Serkan. Serkan, for the first time, decides to prepare breakfast, surprising his sister, who remarks she's always been the one to make breakfast, and he's never offered to help. Serkan gives her a glass of water to calm her nerves, which annoys her, and she walks away. Serap calls Asma, planning to invite the neighborhood, including Bahar, to see Eliza's reaction. She insists on sending her father away to give her free rein to undermine Eliza. When Eliza comes down and sees Serkan has prepared breakfast, she's surprised, but their moment is spoiled by Serap, who reminds Eliza of their big day and tasks her with shopping for the event. Eliza agrees, frustrating Serap, who can't seem to outmaneuver her. Serap hands Eliza a shopping list, and Eliza, eager to prove herself, puts on her shoes. Kadir meets her, worried she might get lost or make a mistake, but she reassures him she can handle the responsibility. Serap then asks her father to leave the house, wanting wanting to create an opportunity to break Eliza down further. Eliza goes to the market and enters a shop where she buys all sorts of sieves and trivial items, spending all the money on things that aren't really necessary. When she returns home, Serap berates her for her purchases, especially for spending all the money on useless items. As the neighborhood women gather, including Bahar, Serap tries to belittle Eliza in front of them. However, they all end up admiring Eliza's beauty. Even her grandmother praises her in front of everyone. Bahar becomes extremely jealous of Eliza. In the midst of their conversation, Eliza explains a recipe she discovered using pasta instead of traditional ingredients, fascinating all the women present. They are eager to try it, while Serap is visibly annoyed and almost bursts with envy. Suddenly, Eliza receives a call from her friend Deniz, asking her to come to the hotel. Later, Asma arrives and meets Bahar. When Bahar leaves, Asma speaks to her, suggesting that Eliza and Serkan's marriage is just a result of stubbornness and not true love. At the hotel, Sinem arrives at the same time as Nuruddin. She tries to ignore him, but he calls out to her, pleading for an end to their disagreement and confessing he can't live without her. Sinem insists they have nothing to do with each other and walks away. Nuruddin enters the hotel with a guest, and when Sinem sees him, she comes out to ask about him. Nuruddin reminds her of her words that they should have nothing to do with each other, which upsets Sinem, and she goes back to her office, clearly jealous of Nuruddin. Back in the kitchen, Serkan is peeling potatoes with Cengiz and Bahar when he spots Eliza in the hotel. He follows her, along with Bahar. Eliza learns from Deniz that their friend Hazal met a guy online and went to meet him, but now they fear she's been kidnapped since her phone is off. Alp tracks Hazal's phone location, while Serkan, having heard a motorcycle in Hazal's last voice message, decides to investigate the boy's location. The group, along with Alp, sets out, while Eliza hides in Serkan's car when he returns to the hotel to pick up his forgotten phone. She tells him she'll stay with him, loving the adventure with her dear husband. Serkan smiles at her words. When Alp and the others reach the restaurant, they inquire about Hazal from a waiter who mentions a girl matching her description in the bathroom. Serkan and Eliza, not finding Hazal at the location, receive a call from Alp informing them that they found her. However, the girl who comes out isn't their friend Hazal. As they leave, Eliza finds Hazal's earring on the ground and Serkan notices a motorcycle nearby. He asks Eliza to wait in the car while he checks it out. Indeed, Serkan's intuition is correct and Hazal is indeed kidnapped at the same location. He rescues her and they leave. Eliza manages to subdue the kidnapper using her high heel as a weapon. She embraces Hazal, ensuring she's all right. In Sinem's office, Medhat and Nuruddin gather to make a decision about Serkan, especially since he saved Eliza in the elevator. They decide to appoint him as the technical engineer for the elevator, moving him from his kitchen duties. Nuruddin is unaware of his daughter's ordeal, and Medhat implies that Nuruddin's relationship with his daughter has become as strained as his relationship with Alp. Nuruddin feels guilty for neglecting his daughter. After ensuring Hazal's safety, Serkan, Eliza, and their friends return to the hotel. Serkan receives a call from Bahar, who wants to meet him in a cafe in an hour for an important matter, all orchestrated by Serap and Asma. When Eliza inquires about the caller, Serkan tells her it's Bahar wanting to meet. Sinem informs Eliza that Serkan has been promoted to a technical engineer at the hotel, which delights her. Returning home, Eliza asks Serap about Serkan's whereabouts and learns he's at the cafe with Bahar. Serap encourages her to go to them, sure her plan will succeed this time. At the cafe, Bahar lies to Serkan, saying Eliza told her she doesn't love him and married him only to defy her father. Serkan is deeply hurt by this claim and pretends that their relationship was merely an agreement and that he never loved her. Unfortunately, Eliza overhears this, becomes devastated, and leaves in tears. Meanwhile, Tosha calls Bahar, excited to be acknowledged by her crush. She invites him for coffee, intending to learn more about Serkan and Eliza's relationship. Bahar inadvertently reveals that they are married. Serkan returns home to find no one knows of Eliza's whereabouts. He calls her, only to see her standing in front of her father's house. She sends a message saying she's given up, rings the doorbell, and her father embraces her upon finding her at the doorstep. She shocks him by saying she's returned for good. Upon entering, Eliza is very upset, while Asma is pleased their plan to ruin the marriage worked. Eliza tells her father the relationship with Serkan ended after she discovered his involvement with another girl. She heads to her room, saddened, and for the first time, Nuruddin senses his daughter has fallen in love. At Serkan's house, he leaves in anger, Kadir tries to reach Nuruddin for an explanation, but Nuruddin ignores the call, leaving unanswered questions and tensions high. Kadir goes to the workshop to ask Serkan about the incident with Bahar and learns that Serkan said those things out of anger after seeing Eliza overhearing their conversation. Kadir stops Serkan from dismantling a motorcycle he's been working on, convincing him that he's in love with Eliza, and they return home together. Asma sends a message to Serap, jubilantly telling her that Eliza is with them and won't be returning, indicating their plan has succeeded. Serap, overjoyed, informs her grandparents of the situation and decides to cook a special meal to celebrate. Serap is in the kitchen, happily singing and pleased that Eliza is out of her life. However, when she goes to call her grandparents to eat and finds them missing, she panics and searches the streets for them. Upon finding Kadir and Serkan, she tells them about their disappearance. Kadir, Serap, and Serkan head to Nuruddin's house, mistakenly thinking the grandparents might be there, but find they haven't arrived. Eliza is surprised to see Serkan and tells him she won't go back with him, but he explains that his grandparents are missing. Shortly after, the grandparents return in a taxi, having been taken to the police station because they couldn't remember their address or names, claiming to be Nuruddin to get back to Eliza. Meanwhile, Sinem, feeling guilty about her harsh words to Nuruddin, sends him an apology message, wanting to meet him. He invites her over, and shortly after, Eliza is shocked to see Sinem at their door, annoyed by her presence. Serkan decides to call the police about his missing grandparents, but Eliza insists on making the call herself, expressing her love for them. It turns out that Kadir and Serkan were right about Serap and Asma's alliance against them. The police arrive with the grandparents, and Eliza joyfully welcomes them back. The grandfather insists on staying close to Eliza, pretending to sleep to avoid leaving with Serap. Serkan and Kadir carry him to his room. After Sinem leaves, Nureddin drives her home, realizing for the first time the change in Eliza, acknowledging everything he did was for her benefit. Serkan and Eliza encounter each other awkwardly, with nowhere for Serkan to sleep. Eliza reluctantly allows him to stay in her room, providing him with pillows, but is clearly disturbed by his presence. She ends up sleeping on the couch, daydreaming about Serkan and happily looking through their wedding photos on her phone. In the early hours, Serkan awakens and admires Eliza as she sleeps on the couch, likening her appearance to that of an angel. Upon waking, Eliza complains about the discomfort of her sleeping arrangement and scolds Serkan for watching her sleep, leaving him behind as she walks away. Serkan pleads with Eliza to return home with him, reminding her of their 6-month agreement and revisiting the issue of Bahar. Eliza denies discussing anything with Bahar, expressing her frustration with Serkan for revealing their secret to Bahar and deciding to visit her grandparents instead. Upon her arrival, Eliza is surprised to find her grandparents steadfastly sitting outside, refusing to move until she agrees to return home with them. At this moment, Sinam arrives and Nuruddin joyfully greets her, publicly announcing his intention to propose to Sinam, compelling Eliza to return home. At the hotel, Tosha struggles to keep quiet about Eliza's secret, nearly spilling everything to Alp before Bahar intervenes, redirecting the conversation. Meanwhile, Asma meets with Sarab at Bahar's shop, where they share Sarkan's admission about his and Eliza's arrangement, leading them to plan their next move. Nuruddin and Fakhri search for Turkit, Fakhri's wife, but end up being monitored and eventually assaulted by a woman from afar, leading to an insightful conversation about Turkin's departure post a tragic fire. Eliza wakes up to a day of domestic chores with her grandparents, but is interrupted by a call from Tosha, prompting her to head to the hotel. There, she impresses Sarkan with her appearance, emphasizing the importance of self-care now that she's living with them. Bahar visits Sarkan with a dish, only to be reprimanded for lying and warned to stay away from both Sarkan and Eliza. The conversation among the girls leads to a revelation of personal secrets, with one admitting her love for Sarkan, leaving Eliza in disbelief and defensive about any potential relationship involving Sarkan. When Eliza returns home, Sarab greets her with shouts for being late, but Kadir intervenes, sending her to the workshop to call Sarkan for dinner. Eliza watches Sarkan from a distance, eventually joining him to look for a dropped screw, which she finds and hides as a playful gesture. Their interaction is filled with love and cooperation. The next day, Sarab prepares lunch for Nuruddin, Asma, and Sinam's visit, ignoring Eliza's advice about Nuruddin's dislike for overly spiced food. Eliza retaliates by sabotaging Sarab's dish with sugar instead of salt. Meanwhile, Bahar announces his promotion and invites everyone to a surprise party he's organized. organized. Tasha gathers friends at the hotel, hinting at a surprise and inviting Alp. When Nuruddin, Asma, and Sinem arrive at Eliza's home, Eliza greets them warmly but remains cold towards Sinem. She confides in her father about Sarab's harsh treatment, hoping to gain sympathy, but Nureddin suggests she's capable of handling it, while Sarkan dismisses her complaints, implying she enjoys household chores. The party Bahar has arranged turns out to be for Eliza and Sarkan, revealing their secret relationship to everyone. Eliza is shocked to see Tosha and her friends there, fearing their secret is out. Tosha prepares to reveal a bombshell secret to the attendees, but Eliza takes control of the situation, proudly announcing her marriage to Sarkan, stunning everyone, including Sarkan, with her confidence and happiness.